Hey there, my name is Ashley, and if you have been with this channel for any length of time, you will know that I kind of nerd out over the research planning phase of a vacation. I love reading into a destination before I get there and having a general understanding of what there is to see and do. And essentially, this helps me create the itineraries for my trips. Now, in recent months, I've been wondering, can AI improve this process, sometimes lengthy process? And like many of you, I've checked out ChatGPT, I've typed in 7 days in Switzerland, what should I do? And it kicks back some helpful results, but it really doesn't go much further than that. So as I'm playing with this and pondering it, I coincidentally got approached by a company called RoutePerfect, and they said, hey, check out our travel planning tool. We use AI and optimize it with actual itineraries created by travel industry professionals. So merging the best of both worlds to create a customized trip for you. And not only does it do that, it also gives you a space to book directly in the portal, and you get some pretty cool travel perks for doing so, which I'll highlight a little bit later. So I was super intrigued by this. I obviously checked it out. That's why I'm making this video. I want to give you guys a new tool to play around with. It's completely free. It's brand new, so there's more features coming, but I found it to be really helpful, and I want to show you how to use it. Okay, welcome to RoutePerfect.com. If this is your first time seeing this website, you probably have a sign up button here in the top right. Like I said before, this is a completely free platform to use, so take 2 seconds, fill that out, log in, and then you'll be directed right back to this homepage where you fill out just a couple of bits of information and then you can get started in their system. So first thing you want to put in is your start and end destinations of your trip, the travel dates for your trip, and also how many people are in your traveling party. In this example, we're going to use Slovenia. This is a trip that I did probably 4 or 5 months ago at this point. Had an amazing time, so highly recommend that place. But of course, you can put in whatever destinations you want here. Keep in mind, this is still a new platform, so not every location is in the system yet. But I did find that most European places are in there. At least that was my luck anyway. So you're going to hit Start Planning. And there you go. So we have, at first glance, this is what we call the classic itinerary. So it's taking where you want it to start, where you want it to end, and filling out the in-between based on the duration of your trip. So it said, okay, great, you're starting in Ljubljana. You probably only need 2 nights for that. Same thing with Piran, you probably only need 2 nights. And let's put you in these cities as well over the course of the 10 days that we allocated for this vacation. And how is this generated? Well, I want to point to the optimizer here. So the optimizer is what I was touching on before about the itineraries created by travel professionals. So these are proven itineraries that have been very successful with visitors, and they are recommending it here for you to incorporate it into your trip because you have enough time. And that's how these destinations pop up. That happens when the optimizer is on. You can also switch it to manual mode. So if you want to add other destinations in here, you can. I'm going to try and think of a destination. Let's go to Celje, Slovenia, and we'll just do 1 day, add destination. Let's see if that pops in. Perfect. All right, so that dropped in. I can move it around if I want. Let's say I want to go to Maribor first and then Celje. Now, I'm just very loosely moving things around. I don't actually know how that impacts my trip, but as I'm moving things around, it's updating the roadmap over here. A couple other things to note in this section are you can lock and unlock things. So if you want to make sure this item doesn't get touched at all, you're set on it, you can just hit lock. And if you move other things around, it won't impact that guy. And the other thing I was trying to find is, let's see, let's go back to Optimizer here. Now that I've added in a manual stop, this one right here, what happens when I hit Optimizer again? Will it keep that in? Do these travel agents think that this is a great option for me? Let's see. Optimize. And it actually said, theoretically, okay, if you want to go there, that's great, but let's drop Maribor off the list because that's not really practical in the time that you have allocated and the distances that you have allocated. So that's how that little toggle works there. The other thing I want to show you, and now it's popping up, is the My Trip Preferences over here. So when you're in optimizer mode, this is activated and you can actually select what you prefer to do, what you don't prefer to do, and it will adjust your itinerary. Let's see if anything actively changes. I'm going to make some like big sweeping changes. Great food. Okay, so something, I already forget what that was. Something just dropped off the map completely for great food, and it was swapped out with something else entirely. That's great. Historic places. All right, well, you get the gist. So it's going to update based on your preferences and maybe swap out the occasional city to give you a better, more customized itinerary for what you're interested in. And that's the whole mission of this website. So we're going to ignore these features over here. I'll get into those in a little bit, but let's go through the top again. So we have classic itinerary. That's where we landed. You can rename this if you want. So just for a little housekeeping here, I'm going to say Slovenia 2025. And these will get saved to your trips up here, saved trips. So you can create a number of different trips and always refer back to them. But let's say I wanted to start my itinerary based on an AI suggestion. Well, you can do that by coming up here to Start Chat. Now, you have to think about it in this sense. What you put in that homepage is no longer valid here. This is starting from scratch. So you want to tell AI fresh what it is you're trying to achieve with your vacation. So in a very simple sense, I'm going to write Slovenia, 10 days. I like to hike and eat, and I want to see castles. And let's just see what it kicks back with. So this is, again, creating an itinerary from scratch. Okay, a lot of focus on Ljubljana. Suggested Lake Bled, Triglav National Park, great suggestions. I've been to both. But it seems that it's just highlighting Ljubljana. So I imagine if I hit customize this trip, it's just going to show those two, or the one destination repeated. That's where I'm going to start and where I'm going to end. Let's try doing this a different way. So Slovenia, 10 days. I'm going to name some specific places. I'd like to go to Ptuj, Piran, Ljubljana, and Maribor, and see a castle along the way. Okay, so that's going to give me more specific results, but I honestly don't think a lot of people are going to search saying these are the specific cities that I want to visit. It's going to be more along the lines of like, I like to do this, I would like to see something like this, and then they're going to ask AI to give recommendations. So this is just two different examples of how to use the AI chat. Either come at it with a general gist of things that you enjoy doing and you're hoping to do somewhere in Slovenia, but also come at it with, hey, I heard these cities are really great. Please make sure they're on my itinerary, but also incorporate some other things that I may not know about along the way. So let's say we love this itinerary that they generated. Even if there's something on it that we don't like, we can hit customize this trip and then make further customizations. So hit OK. And now we have a brand new itinerary here. This has replaced what we had in that slot before. And you can see that the name is new and everything, so we can rename it if we wanted. And if there was ever a time to leverage the optimizer button, now is that moment, because while AI is great at giving you destinations you can visit on your trip, it has a hard time creating a logical flow between them and doesn't take into any consideration the driving distances. So hitting the optimizer button will help you through that. And let's see what it does here. Hit optimize. And there we go. We got one small update, and now we have our new map for the trip. And again, you can continue to tweak further if you want. You want to add more days in this area or take out some days in another area. You can completely continue to customize from here. Okay, so the last thing is, I think for folks that don't love to plan maybe as much as I do and would just prefer to have their trip handed to them. So they know they're going to Slovenia, but they don't really know what they want to do. They just want to make sure they see the must-see spots and have a good time. You can do that by hitting this popular itineraries browse and edit button, which will bring you down here. I guess you could have scrolled down to the popular itineraries in that region. And again, these are recommended by travel experts that have specific knowledge of that area. And I've clicked through a lot of these. They have some really, really great itineraries. And these are itineraries that you would personally follow, so on your own road trip, for example. So let's do the Grand Slovenia tour, 10 to 12 days. 7 different destinations, well, 6 if you discount the 2 times that you're in Ljubljana. And yeah, that looks great. I'm gonna hit make it my plan, hit okay. And that's yet another way to generate an itinerary. And again, you can continue, you can optimize, you can customize. I'm very curious to see if I hit optimize. So this is a popular itinerary, but what happens in this optimizer if I click it here? All right, I noticed, I blinked, but I noticed that at least one of the cities was swapped and possibly something was shuffled down here. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a minor change. Otherwise, it remained fairly consistent. So optimizing is just kind of continuing to tweak based on your preferences and also what the travel agents in the universe think are worthy for you to see. All right, so now we're gonna dive over to this area. Let me close my preferences. So you've got an itinerary, you think it looks great, the nights make sense and the order of operations makes sense. You want to learn a little bit more about these regions, and also you are ready to start booking. So let's click on the first one up here, Ljubljana. These are going to be the same for all these options, so I'm just going to stick with showing you one. So I'm visiting the city tab right here, and I see a paragraph or 2 about the city, which is really helpful to just get a sense of what's going on there. What I find particularly helpful is this little photo gallery off to the right. I'm a very visual learner, so it's nice to read about the area, but I like to see what it is I might be seeing once I'm there in person. And it also puts in my head, okay, make sure you set aside time so you can go to this specific street to see that mural, whatever it is. You want to just make sure you've given yourself enough time to scroll through this gallery and kind of just figure out what intrigued you and add it to your list. All right, some of these things are not Ljubljana specific, but things to do near that area or other places to visit. And here's an example, Portorož. They're saying this is a great place to visit from Ljubljana. Fortunately, on my optimized itinerary, that's stop number 2, so we're already covered. Below this, let's say you're ready to book your hotels. As I scroll down, it's going to shuffle over to the hotels tab. This is booking.com. It's just embedded here in RoutePerfect. So you have, or RoutePerfect, I'm not sure. I say it both ways. So it's embedded here in booking.com. Same features that you would find in booking.com. You can sort and filter however you need. Click into each of these to learn more details about those accommodations and then actually book through the site. It's important to know that you won't lose any of your booking loyalty rewards or discounts. It's all still included. Again, this is just a housing for booking.com in the RoutePerfect website. Next tab is your activities tab. And I find this a helpful tool not only for booking activities in the area, but just figuring out what there is to do in that area. So let's say you're somebody that likes an art scene or likes to learn more about the culture of a region. You can select that and see what tours are available that will lead you to those types of interests, we'll say. And again, you can book it right from the website. The next tab is the events tab, so you can get a sense of what's happening throughout the year in that location and see if any of the events line up with your specific travel dates. You can search by dates, you can search by event type. And if you book hotels, activities, events through this website, you actually earn a number of different travel perks through RoutePerfect. And they include things like the voice guide, which I think is so helpful. I've done this in other cities where you kind of listen to a tour as you're walking along. You can also listen to it in advance if you want. Let me give a brief sample of this.
Hello, and welcome to Ljubljana, capital of the Republic of Slovenia.
And En-Route is a GPS-based app that you'll be given as a member. And what this does is it highlights different points of interest along your drive or along your train ride, whatever the commute is. It's going to highlight points of interest as you go from destination 1 to destination 2. And I think that's super helpful. I've been building this personally very manually for past trips, but to be able to put in, here's where I'm going, here's where I'm going to end, or here's where I'm starting, here's where I'm ending up, tell me what's in between, I think this is going to be a really cool app to try out. And in addition to those perks, you also get access to a members only app, an events guide, an organizer. It's really a ton of travel perks to essentially secure a meaningful, seamless travel experience. And they've thought of it all. So really cool what you get when you book directly through the website. Lastly, also booking through the website, flights and car rental. I'll click over there. That's it. So your one-stop shop for all things travel related. You can come here when you have no idea what there is to do in the country that you're considering going to, or you can come here if you do have a sense of what there is to do. Both approaches will lead you to the result of a customized itinerary when you work with AI, popular itineraries, or just based off the classic itinerary with a little optimizer function. It sounds like a lot when I say it like that, but there's so many ways to craft your ultimate itinerary, and I think this website will figure out how to pare down to who you are and what you want out of this trip, and I think that is something that is invaluable. So give it a try and let me know what you thought. I'm really curious to know what countries you picked, if the itineraries made sense to you, if you found the RoutePerfect tool easy to use. All those pieces of feedback are really useful to me and to the community, and I think together we can continue to test out these travel planning tools and figure out what the most efficient systems are and how we can really make our vacation planning a little more streamlined. So I've really enjoyed my experience with this, and I'm excited to really put this to the test on some of my future trips. Until then, I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.